Ryan was a retired veteran who lived in a quiet neighborhood. His small house had a bright garden filled with flowers and vegetables. He loved spending time outdoors, working on his garden, and enjoying the fresh air. Every morning, he wore his favorite military jacket and camo pants. These clothes reminded him of his service and gave him a sense of pride and comfort. One sunny morning, Ryan stepped outside with a watering can in hand. Birds were singing, and the sky was clear blue. He started watering his tomatoes and carrots, humming softly to himself. The neighborhood was peaceful, and Ryan enjoyed the calmness. Across the street, Mrs. Karen, the HOA president, was walking her small dog. She was very particular about rules and liked everything to look perfect. Her clothes were always neat, her lawn always trimmed, and she had a list of rules she expected everyone to follow. When she saw Ryan in his camo outfit, she stopped in her tracks. Her eyebrows knitted together, and she frowned. Ryan waved to her politely. "Good morning, Karen," he said. Karen frowned even more. "Ryan, you cannot wear that here," she said firmly. "It is against HOA rules to wear camouflage in your yard. Take it off immediately." Ryan blinked, surprised. "I am just gardening," he replied. "This is my retired military jacket. It has meaning to me. I feel comfortable in it." Karen shook her head. "Rules are rules. The HOA does not allow camo clothing in the neighborhood. If you don't comply, I will report this to the board." She tapped her clipboard and turned, walking back toward her house, muttering about people who ignored the rules. Ryan watched her leave and sighed. He did not want trouble, but he also did not feel like taking off something that represented his years of service. Gardening in his old clothes made him feel connected to the discipline and pride of his past. Later that day, Ryan's neighbor, Mr. Lewis, came over. Lewis had lived next door for 10 years and knew Ryan well. "I saw Karen this morning," Lewis said. "She looked furious about your camo. What are you going to do?" Ryan leaned on his shovel and smiled faintly. "I don't want to argue. I just want to garden peacefully. But I think it is time to remind her that veterans deserve respect." Lewis nodded. "She does not listen to reason easily. But you have patience. That always helps." As the day went on, more neighbors came outside. Some were curious about the conversation with Karen, and some just wanted to enjoy the sunny weather. Ryan continued working in his garden, calmly trimming the bushes and planting marigolds. He tried to ignore the gossip but kept thinking about how to handle the situation. By evening, Ryan decided he needed a plan. He could not change Karen's mind with words alone. He remembered his days in the military, where patience, strategy, and teamwork always helped solve problems. He thought carefully about what to do. That night, Ryan sat at his kitchen table with a cup of tea. He pulled out his phone and sent messages to his closest friends from his Special Forces unit. These were people he had trained and served with for many years. They trusted each other completely and had always supported each other through challenges. "Need a favor," he wrote. "HOA president is giving me trouble for wearing camo. Can you help me show her respect and honor veterans?" Within hours, Ryan received replies from his friends. They were happy to help. Some joked about bringing their own gardening gloves and hats. Ryan made sure to explain one thing clearly: no violence, no confrontation, only a friendly surprise to teach Karen a lesson about respect. The next morning, Ryan felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. He was not used to using his military experience for a neighborhood problem, but he wanted to handle it calmly and smartly. He put on his camo jacket and pants, grabbed his gardening gloves, and stepped outside. Karen was already walking toward his yard, holding her clipboard like a shield. "Ryan," she said sharply. "I see you are wearing that again. This is unacceptable. Take it off immediately." Ryan smiled politely. "Good morning, Karen. I will continue gardening in my yard, thank you. I promise I am not breaking anything or bothering anyone." Karen frowned deeper. "It does not matter. Rules are rules. I will be reporting you today if you do not comply." Ryan nodded calmly. "I understand. Thank you for letting me know." He bent down to water his flowers, pretending not to notice her anger. Karen huffed and walked a few steps closer. "Do you realize this is disrespectful? You are showing no regard for the HOA rules or the neighborhood." Ryan looked up. "I am showing respect for my own service and my own comfort. I always respect the neighborhood and the people in it. I just ask for the same respect in return." Karen's lips pressed together tightly. She did not expect Ryan to respond so calmly. She muttered something under her breath and turned to leave, but Ryan waved politely. After Karen walked away, Ryan's neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, came over with a basket of freshly baked cookies. "I heard about the argument," she said kindly. "You handled that well. It is important to stand up calmly for yourself." Ryan smiled. "Thank you. I just want to enjoy my yard without trouble. I hope she understands soon." As the sun began to set, Ryan felt a sense of calm. He had handled the situation without anger, but he also knew Karen might return. That was why he planned to use his friends from the Special Forces to send a gentle but clear message about respect. That night, Ryan went to bed thinking about the garden, the rules, and the lessons of patience and strategy he had learned during his service. He knew tomorrow could be interesting, but he felt ready. He had a plan, and he had friends he could trust. The neighborhood was quiet, but Ryan felt a small thrill. Sometimes, standing for respect meant more than just following rules. Sometimes, it meant using intelligence, patience, and allies to make others understand the value of honor and dignity. Ryan slept peacefully that night, dreaming of flowers, sunlight, and a neighborhood that could one day learn that kindness and respect were stronger than strict rules. The next morning, Ryan woke up early, just as the first rays of sunlight touched his garden. The air was fresh, and the flowers glistened with dew. He brewed a cup of tea and sat by the kitchen window, thinking about the day ahead. Karen's complaint had stayed in his mind, and he knew he needed to find a solution that would not create trouble but would also earn respect. He remembered the lessons he had learned during his years in the Special Forces. Patience, strategy, and teamwork were always the keys to handling challenges. He realized that the problem with Karen was not anger or rules, it was understanding. She needed to see the value of respect and pride, without feeling threatened. Ryan picked up his phone and opened a group chat with his closest friends from the unit. These friends had been with him through difficult missions, and they trusted each other completely. Ryan typed carefully, explaining the situation. "Good morning, friends. I have a small neighborhood problem. HOA president is upset about my camo jacket. She wants me to remove it. I want to show her respect and the value of veterans in a calm, friendly way. Can you help?" Within minutes, replies started coming in. Marcus, a tall man with a warm smile, wrote, "Of course, Ryan. We can help. Nothing aggressive, just a surprise to show respect and awareness." Leah, another friend, added, "We can be there in the morning." Friendly and polite. No confrontation. Just a demonstration of honor and unity. Ryan smiled. He felt reassured. He wrote back, "Thank you, everyone. Let us make this simple, clear, and respectful. I will plan the details tonight." After finishing his tea, Ryan began to prepare his garden. He trimmed the bushes, watered the flowers, and organized his tools. The sight of the colorful marigolds and the green vegetables gave him a sense of calm. He wanted everything to look perfect. The garden was his pride, and it would be the setting for the lesson about respect he planned to give Karen. Later in the afternoon, Ryan called Louis, his next-door neighbor. Louis was an observant man and had known Karen for years. "Louis, I may need a little help tomorrow," Ryan said. "Nothing dangerous, just a demonstration that shows respect for veterans and their pride." Louis laughed quietly. "You mean a little friendly surprise for Karen? I can help. Maybe tell the neighbors what is happening, so they are ready for it?" Ryan nodded. "Exactly. I want this to be calm, friendly, and impressive. Nothing threatening, just a clear reminder about respect and understanding." As evening approached, Ryan began preparing small details. He polished his camo jacket and pants, making them look neat and clean. He set up his garden tools in order, making the yard appear tidy and welcoming. He wanted Karen to see that he was not careless, but respectful and proud. He also wrote a few simple signs for his friends to hold. They were friendly messages like, "Respect our veterans" and "Pride and honor in service." Ryan wanted the surprise to be clear but not aggressive. It was important that Karen understood the message without feeling attacked. That night, Ryan went to bed feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. He thought about the previous day, Karen's complaint, and the plan he had created. He knew that the presence of his friends would not only support him but also make a positive impression on the entire neighborhood. The next morning, Ryan woke up before dawn. The sun was just beginning to rise, painting the sky with soft colors. He drank a quick cup of coffee and stepped outside to check his garden. Everything looked perfect. The flowers were bright, the vegetables neat, and the garden paths clean. It was the perfect setting for the day ahead. Around mid-morning, Ryan's friends began to arrive quietly in their vehicles. They parked a little down the street, so it would not seem sudden or aggressive. One by one, they stepped out, wearing their professional Special Forces uniforms. Each of them carried a calm, confident smile. They were prepared, polite, and ready to follow Ryan's plan. Ryan greeted them warmly. "Thank you all for coming. Remember, this is not about confrontation. We are here to show respect, not create fear. Keep your smiles friendly and your presence proud." Marcus nodded. "Understood, Ryan. Friendly, calm, and clear. We will make the message obvious without upsetting anyone unnecessarily." Leah added, "It is a perfect day for this. The neighbors will see that respect and honor are important." Ryan smiled and felt reassured. The plan was simple but effective. Karen needed to understand that rules were important, but respect and understanding were even more important. This friendly presence of veterans would make the lesson clear. By mid-morning, Ryan was in his garden, wearing his camo jacket and pants. He moved slowly, trimming the bushes, checking the flowers, and adjusting the soil. He pretended to be unaware of the quiet arrival of his friends. From the corner of his eye, he could see them organizing quietly, holding signs and standing tall. Karen, as usual, was walking her dog when she noticed Ryan in camo again. She marched toward him, holding her clipboard tightly. "Ryan, you are still wearing that," she said sharply. "I warned you yesterday. This is against HOA rules. Take it off immediately." Ryan looked up calmly and smiled. "Good morning, Karen. I am enjoying my garden. Thank you for letting me know your opinion." Karen's frown deepened. "Rules are rules. You are clearly ignoring them. I will report you today." Just as she spoke, Ryan's friends stepped into view. They walked calmly, wearing their clean, professional uniforms. They held signs that read, "Respect our veterans" and "Pride in service." Karen froze, her mouth open in surprise. She did not expect this. Ryan stood up straight, his hands on his hips, smiling politely. One of his friends, Marcus, stepped forward and spoke gently. "Ma'am, we all serve to protect our country. Ryan is proud of his service, and wearing camo in his own yard is his way of honoring that service." Karen blinked, speechless. The neighbors began to notice the quiet gathering and peeked from their windows. Some stepped outside to watch. The atmosphere was calm, respectful, and clear. Ryan continued, "We are not here to cause trouble. We just want to show that respect for veterans is important. Camo in the yard is not harmful, but it is meaningful to those who served." Karen looked around, realizing that the presence of Ryan's friends was not threatening but proud and polite. She took a deep breath and nodded slightly. I see. I did not understand before. I apologize, Ryan." Ryan smiled warmly. "Thank you, Karen. That is all I wanted. Respect and understanding are more important than strict rules." The neighborhood watched quietly, impressed by the calm, respectful approach. Ryan's friends stood tall but friendly, giving Karen a clear lesson without any confrontation. By the end of the morning, Karen walked back to her house, a little embarrassed but thoughtful. Ryan returned to his garden, trimming the bushes and planting flowers, feeling a sense of calm and pride. The plan had worked perfectly. Ryan had handled the situation without anger, using patience, strategy, and teamwork. The presence of his friends had sent a clear message about respect and honor. As the day continued, neighbors stopped by to greet Ryan and his friends. Everyone was smiling and talking quietly about the importance of respect, pride, and understanding. Ryan felt proud, not just for himself, but for the positive message he had shared with the neighborhood. That evening, Ryan sat in his garden, sipping tea and enjoying the sunset. He felt satisfied. The day had been a success. He had handled a challenge with patience, intelligence, and friendship. He knew that tomorrow could bring more surprises, but he felt ready. With strategy, respect, and support from friends, any challenge could be handled peacefully and effectively. The next morning, Ryan woke up feeling a mix of excitement and calm determination. The air was crisp, and the sunlight filtered gently through the trees, casting warm patterns on his garden. Today was the day he and his friends would put their plan into action. He sipped a cup of coffee while reviewing the steps he had prepared. Everything had to be calm, clear, and respectful. This was not about confrontation, it was about sending a message that demanded respect without creating fear. Ryan dressed carefully in his favorite camo jacket and pants. Each piece of clothing had meaning to him. His jacket was worn but neat, his pants clean and tidy. These were symbols of years of dedication and service. As he adjusted the jacket over his shoulders, he felt a sense of pride and readiness. Across the street, Karen was already walking with her small dog. She carried her clipboard tightly and her expression was sharp. Yesterday's surprise had left her stunned, and today she wanted answers. She did not yet fully understand why Ryan had invited his friends, but she felt a mixture of curiosity and unease. Ryan stepped into his garden, casually tending to the flowers. He watered the roses first, then adjusted the soil around the marigolds, his movements calm and deliberate. He noticed Karen glancing at him from across the street, frowning but also clearly curious. Suddenly, from the end of the street, black SUVs appeared. They moved slowly and quietly. Ryan's friends stepped out one by one, dressed in their professional special forces uniforms. They carried themselves with calm confidence and respectful smiles. Each one held a sign with friendly messages like, "Respect our veterans" and "Pride in service." Karen froze in place, her eyes widening. She had not expected this display. Ryan noticed her reaction and walked toward the center of his yard, greeting his friends quietly with a nod. "Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. Remember, we are here to show respect, not to intimidate. Keep the mood friendly and calm." Marcus, one of Ryan's friends, nodded. "Understood. We are here to support, not to create fear. Our message is clear and positive." Leah, another friend, smiled. "This will be a lesson about respect, not rules. We are here to demonstrate pride in service and honor." As Ryan's friends arranged themselves in his yard, Karen took a hesitant step forward. What is happening here?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. "Why are all these people in uniforms here?" Ryan smiled politely. "Good morning, Karen. I invited some friends over to enjoy the neighborhood with me. They are retired special forces, like me. We wanted to send a friendly message about respect and honor for service." Karen looked around, her frown deepening but also showing confusion. The neighbors had begun stepping out of their homes, curious about the gathering. Some peeked from their windows, others walked slowly toward the sidewalk. The sight of Ryan's friends standing calmly, holding signs and smiling, created a scene of calm pride rather than aggression. One of Ryan's friends, Marcus, stepped forward and spoke gently. "Ma'am, we all serve to protect our country. Ryan is proud of his service. Wearing camo in his own yard is his way of honoring that service. We are here to show that respect for veterans is important." Karen opened her mouth to speak but stopped. She felt the weight of the moment. The presence of Ryan's friends was not threatening. Instead, it carried dignity and pride. Ryan himself stood tall but calm, smiling politely, showing no anger or aggression. Another friend, Leah, added, "We are not here to confront you or cause trouble. We only want to show that respect and understanding are stronger than strict rules." Ryan's camo represents years of dedication and honor. That deserves recognition. The neighbors began to notice more clearly. Some smiled, others nodded quietly. One neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, said softly to herself, "I never realized how important this is to him. Respect matters more than rules sometimes." Karen's cheeks flushed slightly. She had always believed rules were the most important thing, but now she saw a different perspective. This was not about breaking rules, it was about pride, service, and dignity. Her expression softened as she realized she had overreacted. Ryan took a small step forward and spoke to Karen directly. "Karen, I understand your concern for the neighborhood rules. I respect the guidelines too. But I also ask for the same respect for those who served. Wearing camo in my own yard is my way of remembering my time in service and honoring my friends. Karen took a deep breath. She looked at Ryan's friends standing proudly behind him and realized that this was not an attack. It was a lesson in calm strength and dignity. She nodded slowly. I understand now. I apologize, Ryan. I did not see the meaning behind your camo before. You have my respect. Ryan smiled warmly. Thank you, Karen. That is all I wanted. Understanding and respect are more important than strict enforcement. Rules are important, but kindness and recognition are even more so. The neighbors watched quietly. Some clapped softly, not wanting to be loud, but wanting to show support. The atmosphere was filled with pride, respect, and a sense of community. Ryan's friends held their signs high, smiling and waving politely at the neighbors. Karen took a few steps back, her expression thoughtful. She realized that the morning had been a lesson for her as well. Respect for others, understanding their experiences, and acknowledging pride and service were just as important as rules. She felt a small shift in her perspective. Ryan returned to his garden, watering the flowers and adjusting the soil. The moment had passed, but the lesson remained. Karen walked back toward her house, thoughtful but no longer angry. The neighbors continued to observe, some nodding quietly and others talking about the importance of respect. By late morning, Ryan's friends began to leave, one by one. They waved politely, smiling at the neighbors and Karen. Thank you for helping, Ryan said to them quietly. This was perfect. Respectful, clear, and positive. Marcus nodded. It was a good demonstration. She will understand now. Everyone learned something today. Leah smiled. We showed that patience and calm strategy are stronger than anger. That is a lesson everyone can take away. After the last friend left, Ryan returned fully to his gardening. The flowers glistened in the sunlight, and the neighborhood felt a sense of community. Karen remained inside her house, thinking about the morning. She realized that she had learned a valuable lesson about respect, patience, and understanding. Ryan continued tending to his garden, feeling proud but peaceful. The plan had worked perfectly. No one had been angry, no one had been hurt, and a clear message had been sent about respect and honor. He felt satisfied knowing that he had handled the challenge with patience, intelligence, and teamwork. As the day went on, neighbors stopped by to greet Ryan and admire his garden. Some shared stories about veterans they knew, while others simply smiled and nodded. The atmosphere in the neighborhood had changed. There was more respect, more understanding, and a sense of calm pride. That evening, Ryan sat in his garden, sipping tea and watching the sunset. The flowers swayed gently in the breeze, and the sunlight painted soft patterns on the ground. He felt proud, not just of his garden, but of the lesson he had shared. Respect, dignity, and understanding had prevailed over strict rules and confrontation. Ryan knew that tomorrow might bring new challenges, but he felt ready. With patience, strategy, and the support of friends, any situation could be handled with calm intelligence and respect. He looked at his camo jacket and smiled, knowing it had become a symbol not just of his service, but of a lesson in kindness and understanding for the entire neighborhood. The morning after the special visit, the neighborhood felt different. Birds sang as usual, and the sun rose slowly over the houses, but something in the air had changed. People spoke more kindly to one another, and the tension that had often filled the streets seemed to have vanished. Ryan stepped outside into his garden, dressed in his camo jacket and pants, feeling calm and proud. The flowers gleamed with dew, and the freshly trimmed bushes gave the yard a welcoming, peaceful look. Across the street, Karen stepped onto her porch. She held her clipboard loosely and looked at Ryan with a mixture of embarrassment and reflection. Yesterday's visit from Ryan's friends had left her stunned, but it had also made her think. She realized that her strict enforcement of the rules had caused unnecessary tension. She had focused so much on rules that she had forgotten about respect, understanding, and kindness. Karen's dog tugged at the leash, reminding her to walk, but she stayed still a moment longer, watching Ryan as he watered the flowers. She noticed the calm in his movements and the way the neighbors had quietly supported him. For the first time, she saw beyond the rules and recognized the pride and meaning behind Ryan's camo clothing. Ryan noticed her watching and smiled politely. "Good morning, Karen," he said warmly. "It is a beautiful day for gardening." Karen blinked and nodded slowly. "Good morning, Ryan," she replied. Her voice was softer than usual. I have been thinking about yesterday. I understand now that your camo jacket is important to you. I am sorry for overreacting." Ryan set down his watering can. "Thank you, Karen. That is all I hoped for. Respect and understanding matter more than strict rules. I appreciate your apology." Karen hesitated, then spoke again. "I realize that rules are important, but sometimes kindness and awareness are even more important. I saw how your friends supported you without any confrontation. It made me understand your pride and service." Ryan nodded. "Exactly. Service and respect are the most important parts. We follow rules, but we also honor the people who serve and the values they represent." Karen looked thoughtful. She glanced down the street and noticed neighbors stepping outside. Many smiled and waved at Ryan, showing appreciation for what he had done for the community. Others quietly nodded at Karen, acknowledging the change in her attitude. She realized that her actions affected the entire neighborhood. By late morning, Karen decided to take a small walk around the neighborhood. She greeted a few neighbors she usually ignored, smiling politely. They responded with warmth, and she felt a small sense of relief. Her behavior had often created tension, but now she saw that calmness and understanding brought people together. Meanwhile, Ryan continued his gardening, planting colorful flowers along the edge of his yard. He noticed small children watching him curiously from across the street. One of them, a boy named Sam, stepped closer and asked politely, "Mr. Ryan, can I help water the flowers?" Ryan smiled and handed Sam a small watering can. "Of course, Sam. Just be careful and pour gently." As Sam watered the flowers, Karen watched quietly. She realized that Ryan's calmness, kindness, and pride inspired others. Even children were learning respect through his actions. Karen felt a growing sense of understanding. She had been too focused on rules, but Ryan had taught her a lesson without anger or confrontation. Later that day, a few neighbors came over to Ryan's garden. They admired his flowers, complimented his neat yard, and thanked him for showing patience and respect. One neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, said, "Ryan, your calm approach yesterday showed all of us how important respect is. We should all learn from you." Ryan smiled politely. "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. Respect is something we can all practice. It makes the neighborhood better for everyone." Karen, standing nearby, listened quietly. She realized that she could also contribute positively. Instead of criticizing, she could encourage kindness, understanding, and cooperation. She made a small mental note to approach her duties as HOA president differently. By evening, Karen approached Ryan directly. "Ryan, I wanted to speak to you again," she said softly. "I have been thinking a lot about yesterday. You and your friends showed me a lesson I will not forget. I want to thank you for handling the situation with patience and respect." Ryan nodded. "Thank you, Karen. That means a lot. It is never easy to change our thinking, but recognizing the value of respect and understanding is always worth it." Karen smiled slightly. "I also realized that being strict about rules is not always the best way. People need to be seen, heard, and understood. I want to do better." Ryan returned her smile. "That is all anyone can ask for. We all learn and grow. I am glad we could show this lesson together." The following days in the neighborhood felt lighter. Karen no longer rushed to criticize minor issues. Instead, she listened to her neighbors and offered gentle guidance. Ryan continued tending his garden, wearing his camo proudly, and sharing his calm wisdom with anyone who visited. One afternoon, Karen even stopped by Ryan's yard with a small tray of cookies. "I wanted to say thank you again," she said. "You showed me how important it is to respect and understand others. These are for you and your friends." Ryan accepted the tray with gratitude. "Thank you, Karen. That is very kind of you. Everyone can learn something from kindness, even in small gestures like this." The children of the neighborhood began spending more time outside, helping Ryan in his garden. They planted flowers, watered vegetables, and listened to his stories about patience, teamwork, and service. Karen watched quietly from her porch, realizing that the neighborhood had become more connected because of Ryan's calm leadership. Neighbors started greeting each other more often. Friendly conversations replaced complaints. The HOA meetings became less tense, with Karen listening more and dictating less. The lesson Ryan had delivered with patience, pride, and support from his friends had created a lasting impact. By evening, Ryan sat in his garden, sipping tea and watching the sun set behind the trees. The colors reflected off the flowers, making the yard glow softly. He felt proud and satisfied. The day had shown that calmness, respect, and understanding could change hearts and minds. Karen, from her porch, watched the sunset as well. She felt a small smile form on her face. She had learned an important lesson about balance. Rules were necessary, but so was kindness. Respect and understanding could build stronger connections than fear or strict enforcement ever could. The neighborhood felt peaceful. Children played outside, neighbors spoke politely, and Ryan tended his garden with pride. The lesson from the special visit had taken root, growing quietly but strongly in everyone's mind. Ryan looked at his camo jacket and pants and smiled. They were no longer just a symbol of his service, they were a symbol of patience, calmness, and respect. Karen had learned a lesson, the neighbors had learned a lesson, and the neighborhood had become stronger and more connected. As night fell, Ryan closed the gate of his garden and stepped inside. He felt content. The day had been filled with lessons, understanding, and calm pride. He knew that tomorrow would bring new moments and challenges, but he also knew that respect, patience, and understanding would always guide him. Ryan's garden glowed softly in the moonlight, a symbol of pride, honor, and the positive change that respect and patience could bring to a community. The neighborhood had learned something more valuable than any rule, the power of kindness and understanding. The following week, the neighborhood felt brighter than ever. The sun rose early, casting a warm light over the houses, and the streets buzzed quietly with life. Children played on the sidewalks, neighbors greeted each other with friendly smiles, and Ryan tended to his garden, wearing his camo jacket and pants proudly. The incident with Karen had become a turning point for everyone in the neighborhood. Ryan moved through his garden carefully, trimming the bushes and checking on the flowers. He felt a sense of calm satisfaction. The camo jacket he wore symbolized his service, his pride, and now, also the lessons he had taught about respect and patience. People walked past his yard, nodding and greeting him warmly. Karen, who had changed remarkably over the past few days, stepped outside her house. She held a small tray of homemade cookies and smiled at Ryan. "Good morning, Ryan," she said kindly. "I wanted to bring these as a small gesture of thanks. You have taught me a lot about patience and respect." Ryan accepted the tray with a warm smile. "Thank you, Karen. That is very thoughtful. The important thing is that we all learn to respect each other and understand the value of kindness." Karen nodded. "I understand now. I want to do better as HOA president and help the neighborhood feel more united." Ryan felt proud. The lesson had reached her heart. "That is wonderful, Karen. Change begins with understanding and calmness. We all grow when we treat each other with respect." As the morning passed, more neighbors stopped by Ryan's yard. Some admired his flowers, while others complimented the way he handled the situation with Karen. Mr. Lewis, Ryan's next-door neighbor, walked over and said, "Ryan, you really showed everyone how patience and strategy can solve problems. The neighborhood feels calmer because of you." Ryan smiled politely. "Thank you, Lewis. Patience and respect go a long way. Rules are important, but understanding and kindness are even more important." Even the children of the neighborhood joined Ryan in his garden. Sam and his friends brought small watering cans, helping to water the flowers and vegetables. They listened as Ryan explained the importance of patience, teamwork, and respect. Karen watched quietly from her porch, realizing how Ryan's actions inspired not just adults but children as well. Around noon, a small gathering of neighbors formed near Ryan's yard. They discussed gardening tips, shared stories about community life, and quietly mentioned how Ryan's approach had changed the neighborhood. No one spoke of complaints or conflict. Instead, everyone focused on respect, understanding, and pride in their community. Karen approached Ryan again, this time with a smile that showed genuine understanding. "Ryan, I want to apologize for being strict and judgmental before," she said. "I see now that respecting your service and your pride is more important than enforcing small rules." Ryan nodded. "Thank you, Karen. I appreciate your words. Change is not always easy, but understanding and respect make it possible." Karen added thoughtfully, "I plan to approach HOA responsibilities differently from now on. I want to encourage kindness, not just enforce rules." Ryan felt a quiet satisfaction. The neighborhood had learned a valuable lesson. It was not only about rules or uniforms, it was about listening, understanding, and showing respect for each other's experiences. That afternoon, Ryan's friends from the Special Forces stopped by to check on him. They smiled as they saw the calm and positive atmosphere in the neighborhood. Marcus said, "It looks like your message is spreading. Everyone seems happier and more connected." Leah nodded. "Ryan, you handled this perfectly. Respect, calmness, and strategy worked better than anything else could have." Ryan smiled. "Thank you. It was a team effort, just like in service. The lesson was for everyone, not just Karen." The children waved at Ryan's friends, excited to see them again. Ryan explained to them the importance of teamwork, respect, and calm solutions to problems. The children listened carefully, learning lessons they would carry into their own lives. By evening, the neighborhood had settled into a peaceful rhythm. Karen walked through the streets, greeting neighbors politely and exchanging kind words. She helped an elderly neighbor carry groceries and smiled at the children playing outside. Her attitude had changed completely, and the atmosphere in the community reflected it. Ryan returned to his garden, trimming the last flowers for the day. The sun dipped low, casting a warm glow over the yard. He felt a sense of pride, not only in his garden but in the lessons he had shared. The camo jacket he wore symbolized more than service, it represented patience, understanding, and respect. Neighbors passed by, waving and greeting him warmly. Some stopped to admire his garden, while others thanked him for showing that calm leadership could change hearts. Ryan felt a quiet satisfaction knowing that his actions had a lasting impact. Karen approached him one last time for the day. "Ryan, I just want to say thank you again," she said. "You showed me a new way to lead and live in this neighborhood. I will never forget this lesson." Ryan smiled. "You are welcome, Karen. It was important for all of us to see that respect, understanding, and patience are stronger than anger or strict enforcement. I am glad the neighborhood is learning this too." As night fell, Ryan closed the gate of his garden and stepped inside his house. He felt calm and content. The day had been filled with positive interactions, lessons learned, and a sense of peace in the community. He looked at his camo jacket and pants and smiled. They had become a symbol of more than service, they now represented dignity, respect, and the power of calm leadership. The neighborhood had changed quietly but powerfully. Children played safely in the streets, neighbors spoke with kindness, and Karen led with understanding instead of strict enforcement. The lesson of patience, teamwork, and respect had taken root, creating a community stronger than before. Ryan went to bed that night feeling proud. He had handled a difficult situation without anger, using strategy, patience, and the support of friends. The neighborhood had learned that respect and understanding were more important than rules alone. He knew that challenges might come in the future, but he also knew that calm, kind, and respectful actions could solve almost any problem. His garden glowed softly in the moonlight, the flowers reflecting the pride and calmness of the day. Ryan's heart was light, knowing that he had made a difference. The neighborhood was peaceful, the neighbors were connected, and the lessons of respect and patience would last for years. Ryan smiled as he drifted to sleep. The camo jacket hung neatly on its hook, a symbol of service, pride, and the positive changes he had inspired. The story of patience, teamwork, and respect had reached every corner of the neighborhood, leaving behind a lasting sense of peace, understanding, and unity.